faithfully conveying value by interpreting great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'll be interpreting the book, My Century, for you. In the heart of Shanghai, there's a garden-style hotel, the renowned Jinjiang Hotel. This hotel has witnessed many major events. For instance, the 1972 Sino-US Shanghai Communique was announced here. It's also hosted many famous figures, including over 500 heads of state and government leaders. The book I'm sharing today is the autobiography of Dong Zhujun, the founder of Jinjiang Hotel. Her life is truly legendary. She was born in 1900 as the daughter of a rickshaw puller. As a young girl, she was forced into singing in a brothel, but later met revolutionaries and became a governor's wife. In March 1935, she opened a Sichuan restaurant called Jinjiang Shaokan in Shanghai, now the predecessor of Jinjiang Hotel. On opening day, this two-story eatery was packed with crowds from all directions, even Shanghai's Bund. Key figures from both sides of the law, like Yang Hu, head of Shanghai's Security Bureau, and Du Yusheng, a big shot in the Green Gang, all attended. Dong Zhujun was the one who brought them together. This autobiography was started by Dong Zhujun at age 78, and she passed away in 1997. Recently, after publication, within less than a year, it was reprinted 6 times. It ranked top 3 on national bestseller lists for 3 straight months and was introduced to Japan. In 1999, the TV series Century Life, based on it, aired. Looking back at Dong Zhujun's life, she constantly tried to change her fate instead of passively accepting it like traditional women, gradually losing herself. This all begins with her birth, though the outcome wasn't beautiful. In 1900, Dong Zhujun was born in a Shanghai slum. Her father was a rickshaw puller. Her mother did menial labor. Despite their hard work, the family often lacked basic food and clothing. She had a younger brother and sister, but both died young due to extreme poverty. Still, her parents sent her to a private school at age 6, believing education was the only way out, at least to marry well. This made Dong Zhujun realize for the first time that people should strive to change their fate through effort, a philosophy that stayed with her lifelong. At 13, Dong Zhujun's father got tuberculosis, which was incurable back then. Out of desperation, her parents sent Dong Zhujun to a Changsan Tanzi to be a little miss for emergency money. The so-called Changsan Tangzi was a type of high-class brothel at the time. It got its name because everything there cost about $3 silver. To flaunt their status, the prostitutes were called Miss. Dong Zhujun, as a little miss, was a virgin singer who didn't sell her body for 3 years. Her parents promised to bring her home after that, but Dong Zhujun soon realized this hope was unrealistic. Her natural beauty, clear voice, and reserved nature intrigued customers used to flirty girls. While others saw 2 or 3 clients daily, Dong was swamped, sometimes hosting 50 or 60, chatting or singing. Making the brothel a cash cow, Dong was favored by the madam. But Auntie Meng, who cared for her, pointed out the truth. Don't expect your parents to come for you. The madam won't let you go. You must earn every last dollar for the brothel. As for singing without selling your body, that's not forever. Only minors do it to build fame. Once adult, they sell themselves for higher prices. Auntie Ming's words made Dong Zhujun resolve to marry someone before being forced into prostitution. So she started searching among clients for a trustworthy partner. Then a man named Sha Jishi came into her life. At that time, the revolutionaries' second uprising against Yuan Shikai failed, forcing them underground. The chaotic brothels of Shanghai provided perfect cover for the revolutionaries. Pretending to party, they secretly plotted. Their talk of Sun Yat-sen and the 3 principles caught Dong's attention. as did Zixi, a big name who joined the Tongmenghui in 1905. In 1911, the Shanghai Revolution erupted. At 24, he led hundreds from Longquanye near Chengdu to seize Chongqing, founding the Shu army government where he became deputy governor. When they met, Xia Zixi was 26. In his eyes, Dong Zhujun was different from other brothel girls. She loved reading, sought self-improvement, and cared about national affairs. Dong Zhujun also felt Xia Zixi was different from others. He didn't flirt casually with her and even advised her to read more whenever possible. Moreover, Xia Zixi's wife had already passed away, so if she married him, she wouldn't be a concubine of lower status. Soon, Xia Zixi clearly expressed his admiration for Dong Zhujun and said he could send her to Japan to study, which delighted Dong Zhujun. But the madam demanded a redemption fee of 30,000 silver dollars, a huge sum at the time. As we mentioned earlier, in the life history in the silver dollar era, in the early 20th century, just zero point 0.02 silver dollars could get you into a Western restaurant for fried pork chop, butter, bread, and other foods. At that time, an ordinary clerk in the health bureau earned only 8 silver dollars a month, while a section chief made 30, enough to maintain a decent life for a family of 5. But Xia Zixi only had 10,000 at that time, and Yuan Shikai was offering a bounty of 30,000 for his head. He hid in a hotel, preparing to flee to Japan. Dong Zhujun, determined, was confined by the madam in a house. She tricked the guard and ran to Xia Zixi hiding place. The two hastily held their wedding there and immediately boarded a ship to escape to Japan. Afterward, Dong Zhujun learned that the pursuers sent by the madam arrived just after she escaped. This was in 1914. Dong Zhujun married Xia Zixi at 14, marking the first major turning point in her life. In Japan, Dong Zhujun began studying eagerly. She took the tram into the city daily to learn Japanese, and later studied with a tutor at home, completing all courses at Tokyo Ochanomizu Women's Higher Normal School. These 3 years of study were immensely rewarding for Dong Zhujun, and she and Xia Zixi had their love child. Their eldest daughter was Xia Guocheng. Dong Zhujun's name, Zhujun, was also given in Japan. Her original name was Dong Mao Yuan. While studying in Japan, a tutor renamed her Dong Zhujun, and from then on, Dong Zhujun became her new identity. More importantly, this experience broadened Dong Zhujun's horizons and exposed her to new ideas of freedom and equality. But it was also from this time that problems began in their marriage. Xia Zixi came from a landlord family with strong patriarchal attitudes. He treated Dong Zhujun as his personal possession. For instance, because she was young and beautiful and came from a brothel, he wouldn't allow her to interact with other men. Dong Zhujun studied with a tutor mainly because Xia Zixi opposed her attending school to avoid contact with male classmates. Around their residence, someone often played the xiao, Chinese bamboo flute, at night. Dong Zhujun, who loved music, often listened attentively, which greatly displeased Xia Zixi. In the summer of 1916, Xia Zixi prepared to return to China to launch another revolution. And he summoned his fourth brother to Japan, ostensibly to care for her, but actually to monitor Dong Zhujun. Before leaving, he also had something for Dong Zhujun. He handed her a pistol and said, "Study hard. I'll place this pistol by your pillow for self-defense against thieves. If you ever do anything to betray me, use it too." This made Dong Zhujun extremely unhappy. But considering Xia Zixi was heading to the battlefield, she temporarily held back her feelings. But the problem wasn't resolved. In autumn 1917, Dong Zhujun completed her teacher training courses and decided to teach herself French, hoping to study in France. But when Xia Zixi's father became critically ill, Dong Zhujun returned to China with their eldest daughter at his request. Complying with her husband's demand, she had already set future goals, diligently managing household affairs, educating children well, and assisting her husband in national matters. Um, Additionally, she wanted to start her own business to achieve economic independence. To advance gender equality, in spring 1918, Dong Zhujun traveled to Shah Jishi's hometown, Heizhong, Sichuan. The Shah family was a traditional extended household with dozens of members, mainly supported by Shah Jishi. They hadn't been well off before and once relied on pawning belongings to survive. But by then, he commanded troops who arbitrarily imposed heavy taxes at transportation hubs. After covering basic military expenses, all remaining money went into his personal coffers. Not only could he support the large family, but he also became extremely wealthy. Seeing her husband transform from an idealistic revolutionary to the state shocked and saddened Dong Zhujun deeply. China was then engulfed in warlord conflicts where even military leaders could easily fall in political struggles. In 1919, Shah Jishi was tricked by former subordinate Shang Keiru to Chengdu. His army was absorbed, leaving him powerless, and he refused Shang's nominal appointment. In Chengdu, the demoralized Shah Jishi began smoking opium and playing mahjong all day. Dong Zhujun worked hard to sustain the household. She tried persuading Shah Jishi to regain his composure and recover his revolutionary spirit. However, at this point, the two had fundamental ideological differences. This effort only brought endless quarrels. For example, once when Dong Zhujun was doing housework, Shah Jishi ordered her to join the mahjong table to make up numbers. Dong Zhujun refused Shah Jishi, and he immediately grabbed a clock and threw it at her, pounding the table and shouting, "Get out!" Another time, exhausted from housework, Dong Zhujun accidentally cut Shah Jishi's toenail and made him bleed. He kicked her to the ground. In the summer of 1926, Dong Zhujun contracted tuberculosis, which was incurable at the time. To spare her children the pain of losing their mother, Dong Zhujun resolved to put everything aside and rested for 3 months, finally recovering. During this time, Shai Jishi never came to visit her. By then, Dong Zhujun had given birth to 4 daughters, which infuriated Shah Jishi. He even often humiliated her parents, accusing them of stealing his opium and jewelry. During this period, they only agreed on one thing. That was to start a business. However, their reasons differed. Dong Zhujun wanted to establish an economic foundation to change her fate. To gain support, she told Shah Jishi it was to increase family income. Hearing it could make money, he provided the capital. Thus, Dong Zhujun started her first business in Sichuan. In 1923, she founded the Fujiang Women's Sock Factory. In 1926, she founded the Flying Eagle Rickshaw Company. Having learned new knowledge in Japan, Dong Zhujun had a simple sense of equality. She handled many things personally, cared deeply for workers, which gave her businesses a good reputation. Many were willing to work for her, and she was good at staffing, like having her father, who had pulled rickshaws for years, help manage the company. So both businesses did fairly well. During this time, she systematically discussed her ideas with Xia Jishi. She felt everyone in the family should engage in productive labor to be self-sufficient. All children should study to become independent in society, and all members should be equal. But Xia Jishi glared at her and asked why she had such thoughts. Their differences had become irreconcilable. In 1928, Chiang Kai-shek, who had won the Northern Expedition, solidified his power in Nanjing. Shah Jishi felt that as a revolutionary veteran, getting an official position shouldn't be a problem. So in the spring of that year, he went to the Jiangsu-Zhejiang area to lobby and maneuver. By spring 1929, Sichuan was chaotic with warlords, carving territories, each issuing currency, causing inflation and market depression. Dong Zhujun's two businesses also became unsustainable. During Xia Zixi was in Shanghai, she immediately closed the businesses. She took the children to Shanghai to find Xia Zixi. Before leaving, she decided to communicate with him one last time. If it failed, she'd divorce and never return to his old-fashioned family. The communication indeed failed. Dong Zhujun had no attachment left to this marriage, but Xia Zixi tried to salvage it. Finally, they reached a compromise. 5 years separation, after which they decide on divorce based on circumstances. During this period, Xia Zixi would provide basic living and education expenses annually. 5 years later, differences remained, and they divorced. Dong Zhujun's fate turned again from separation day, achieving complete independence. After separation, Xia Zixi never paid the promised support. He even boasted Dong Zhujun couldn't survive in Shanghai alone. She'd either jump into Huangpu River with children, or he'd fry fish in his palm. These words deeply hurt Dong Zhujun, but the economic hardship was undeniable. She had 4 daughters in Shanghai, eldest 15, youngest 5, all needing food and education, plus parents to support. Without savings and unemployed, Dong Zhujun didn't yield. She aimed to establish herself in society like in Sichuan. In 1930, she sold nearly all clothes and jewelry to raise 800 yuan, then pulled 3,000 plus yuan to start Kuni Bobbin Factory, producing essential textile equipment parts. Later, introduced by contacts, she went to Philippines raising 10,000 yuan from overseas Chinese, expanding factory to hundreds of workers, but setbacks followed relentlessly. First in 1932, the January 28th incident occurred. Japanese bombers nearly destroyed her factory. Dong Zhujun almost got arrested for radical anti-Japanese speeches. In 1934, leftist students brought propaganda materials to her home, tracked by concession police. Dong Zhujun was jailed for a long ordeal before finally being cleared. That same year, both her parents died in poverty and illness. By then, Dong Zhujun couldn't even afford basic food and clothing. One day, with no dinner in sight, she sold a vest for 50 cents so the family wouldn't starve. Driven to despair, she even contemplated suicide. Just then, a Sichuanese man named Li Sunggao visited. He said Dong Zhujun's departure with children had caused a sensation in Sichuan. Admiring her independence, he offered to lend 2,000 yuan to start a business. The condition was his brother holding 600 yuan in shares. Solving the financial crisis was urgent. Dong Zhujun agreed. This marked her life's third turning point and most glorious chapter. She founded the Jinjiang Sichuan restaurant. This 2,000 yuan was timely aid, but Dong Zhujun knew she couldn't afford more setbacks. After careful consideration, she decided to open a Sichuan restaurant. In Shanghai then, among regional cuisines, Cantonese and Fujianese dishes were most popular. Sichuan cuisine was considered too spicy and heavy for local tastes. Apart from Sichuanese expats, it had few customers. Having lived long in Sichuan, Dong knew its cuisine was diverse, not just spicy. In Chengdu, through Xia Zixi, she'd encountered elites. She knew upscale Sichuan dishes were refined and savory, so she felt confident creating a unique new style to make it famous in Shanghai. To ensure success, Dong Zhujun meticulously planned every detail, striving for perfection, ultimately creating the renowned Jinjiang Sichuan restaurant. First, she needed a suitable name, catchy, elegant, and meaningful. She recalled living in Chengdu, where a river flowed beautifully outside the East Gate. By the river stood a wooden tower where Shi Tao, a Tang dynasty poetess, composed poetry. Chengdu, known as Brocade City for its silk, inspired her to name it Jinjiang Shaokan, poetic, resonant, beautiful, and memorable. And she hoped Sichuan cuisine would become as famous as Chengdu's brocade. The restaurant's emblem was green bamboo leaves, designed by Dong Zhujun herself. With the name settled, the next step was finding a location. 2,000 yuan could only open a very small restaurant at the time. Dong Zhujun searched everywhere for a cheap yet centrally located spot. It needed a storefront downtown, near the road, with enough space for car parking to attract upscale customers. She finally chose a place on Rue Wagner in the French concession near Great World, near today's West Nanghai Road. Back then, this area was sparsely populated, especially at night. People going to Avenue Joffre, today's Huaihai Middle Road, preferred detours over taking this shortcut. So Rue Wagner had only 4 or 5 scattered shops. Friends thought the area lacked foot traffic and warned opening here would lose money. But Dong Zhujun felt it perfectly met her needs, since her restaurant would pursue quality over mass appeal. Additionally, Dong Zhujun dedicated immense effort to the cuisine. Jinjiang offered intensely spicy Sichuan dishes, mildly seasoned options, and even non-spicy selections. It preserved traditions while adapting to Shanghai's diverse tastes, emphasizing knife skills and refinement. Signature dishes like paper-wrapped chicken, crispy duck, braised bamboo shoots, shredded beef stir-fry, and Chengdu vegetable medley were unforgettable. When Charlie Chaplin visited China in 1936, he tasted Jinjiang's crispy duck and remembered it years later. Jinjiang Shaokan was packed from opening day. A limited capital meant a tiny space. 4 small tables on the ground floor for regular meals, 4 or 5 tables upstairs for fine dining, hardly accommodating any guests. 11 restaurants soon opened around Jinjiang Shaokan, competing for overflow customers, driving up local property prices. Even big shots like Du Yushang and Huang Jinrong waited ages for Jinjiang tables. This frustrated Du Yusheng, who said they should expand and offered to help. When intermediaries relayed this, the strong-willed Dong Zhujun initially wanted to refuse, unwilling to associate with gangs, but reconsidering, she realized that in Shanghai's international concessions, even street vendors couldn't escape gang influence. Jiang was now famous in the service industry. It couldn't be an exception, especially since she had no power or influence. If not handled properly, the gang would make survival impossible. Yu Yusheng's offer was at least well-intentioned and genuinely beneficial for the restaurant's growth. So with Du Yusheng's help, the landlord cleared tenants from adjacent buildings and leased the spaces to Jinjiang. Thus Jinjiang ascended. Over a dozen private rooms, 20-plus casual tables, separate dining halls seating 300 total, 3 or 4 offices, dozens more staff, multiplying its footprint. Jinjiang Shaokan was officially renamed Jinjiang Sichuan Restaurant. Soon after, in January 1936, Dong Zhujun opened Jinjiang Tea House with 40-plus tables, seating 200-plus customers, serving tea and snacks mornings, afternoons. It sold meals at lunch and dinner. Both Jinjiang Sichuan Restaurant and Jinjiang Tea House were acclaimed for elegant ambiance and attentive service. The restaurant blended Chinese Western decor with Japanese elements, teakwood paneling for scholarly elegance, high-end furniture, paintings, and palace lanterns creating refined tranquility. Innovative amenities, it also installed heating, rare for Shanghai restaurants then, ensuring guest comfort. For hygiene, Dong Zhujun enforced strict utensil sterilization and pioneered disposable chopsticks. Made of pine wood, chopsticks snapped apart with paper sleeves containing poetry slips for diners' amusement. She even personally inspected servers' hygiene down to nails and teeth. Jinjiang also prioritized personalized needs, like establishing special rooms. For elites demanding privacy, staff patrolled corridors. Underground communists often used these rooms. Thus Jinjiang peaked. Bookings required 3 days' notice. Cars queued 600 meters down Rue Wagner, Yet Dong Zhujun never grew complacent. She remembered her founding purpose, paving an economic path. To advance gender equality, she hired female servers en masse at Jinjiang, promoting women's employment. Meanwhile, she educated these servers to have independent thinking and understand self-respect and self-reliance. Jinjiang's female servers were generally attractive, dignified, and well-mannered, leaving excellent impressions that became the restaurant's beautiful calling card. Dong Zhujun also introduced affordable meals sold at cost, available in two standards, 50 cents or 1 yuan. Each serving included one dish, rice, soup, and tea, allowing lower-income guests to enjoy Jinjiang's delicacies. While busy with business, Dong Zhujun never neglected her daughter's education. She knew schooling alone wasn't enough. She taught them patriotism, family devotion, selflessness, and cultivated independent living and social adaptability. When her third daughter was only 12, Dong sent her alone by train from Shanghai to Nanjing to deliver money to a poor relative. Arriving after city gates closed, the girl sat outside all night rather than spend the money frivolously. Learning this filled Dong with immense pride. After Jinjiang opened, she barred daughters from visiting to shield them from unsavory patrons, conducting all business externally. However, Japanese invasion artillery disrupted Jinjiang's normal development. The August 13th Battle of Shanghai erupted in 1937. The city soon fell. By 1940, collaborators pressured Dong to open a Jinjiang branch at Japanese military's Hongkou Hotel. Her Japanese fluency and management expertise left no excuse for refusal. After stalling failed amid open threats, she entrusted both restaurants to others and fled to the Philippines. Unaware the Pacific War would erupt in late 1941, she became stranded until 1945, when she returned circuitously. Back in Shanghai, she discovered newspapers, declared her dead in the Philippines due to her long absence. The trustee ignored restaurant operations, embezzled funds for real estate speculation, and nearly sold the business. Dong Zhujun immediately intervened to audit accounts. After restructuring management, she reclaimed both establishments by 1948. Civil war caused hyperinflation. The nationalist government issued stable gold yuan notes that soon collapsed, bankrupting many businesses. Fortunately, Dong Zhujun carefully analyzed the situation and predicted this. Though the government limited shops to 2 months' inventory, she stockpiled supplies before the gold yuan notes depreciated, enough for a year. Her wisdom saved Jinjiang. Thus, in May 1949, she witnessed Shanghai's liberation. In 1951, the Shanghai Municipal Committee proposed converting Jinjiang into a venue for hosting important leaders and foreign guests. Dong Zhujun dedicated her painstakingly managed Jinjiang establishments, 16 years of work, to public ownership. That June, Jinjiang Hotel was officially established, built upon Jinjiang Restaurant and Jinjiang Tea House. Dong Zhujun served as chairwoman and manager. In 1953, she became a consultant to the chairwoman, stepping back from frontline management. Later, she was repeatedly elected as a Shanghai Municipal People's Congress deputy and National Committee CPFCC member. During the Cultural Revolution, her past as a governor's wife led to persecution. Imprisoned in 1967, she endured 6 years. In 1979, the Ministry of Public Security formally exonerated her. Afterward, aside from CPPCC activities, she lived quietly. In truth, as the former governor's wife, her story with Xia Zixi wasn't over. Xia Zixi was executed as a counter-revolutionary in 1950, only rehabilitated in 1987. When the Xiao family faced hardship, they sought Dong's help. She assisted, especially supporting their children's education, maintaining contact. In December 1997, Dong Zhujun passed away at 97, ending her legendary life. In her autobiography, she self-evaluated. I never changed my intention due to misunderstanding, doubted my beliefs due to neglect, nor slowed my steps due to age, perfectly encapsulating her life. All right, that concludes our interpretation of My Century. Meeting notes are below the audio. We'll see you tomorrow.